So
Sweet.
let's get this party started for day 4.
Love it. Guys, who is new to the 10-day workshop? Drop a 1 below if this is your first day. Drop a 1 below if this is your first day. I want to see how many of you guys. I promise you, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to call you out. I just want to get a head count. Okay, only 2 of you guys. Sweet. Okay, awesome. If you haven't caught the replays, the homework for you guys is to go back and watch the replays directly after this, because now we're really getting into the weeds and things are going to start to no longer make sense. And I think the first 3 days were really all about building a foundation. So if you start to take action without that foundation in place, you're going to run into a wall and not know what to do. And then you're going to be like, Joel, this didn't work for me. And I'm going to tell you to go back and watch days 1 through 3. So with that in mind, if you haven't seen days 1 through 3, I highly recommend it. It's all happening in chronological order. So it's not like day 7 and day 1 can be consumed at the same time. It's all in sequence. So each day is building on what we learned the previous day in this 10-day workshop. And with that in mind, if you're ready to get started, drop a 7 below. Drop a 7 below. Show some love. Hope everyone's doing good and feeling well. I'm back in the office today. It feels totally different when I'm speaking into a mic, versus just the headphones. But with that in mind, today, for day 4, we're going to talk about building your prospecting lists. Now, days 1, days 2, days 3, we talked about how to become a 10K human being and really level up so that you can go out and build a 10K agency. Then we talked about how to pick the perfect niche. Then we talked about offer creation, how to create an offer that's easy for people in your niche, prospects, to say yes to. And today we're going to talk about how to actually find people in your niche that you can reach out to, schedule them in for an appointment, and offer them what you have in store. So with that in mind, day 4, we're going to be talking about building your prospecting lists. And here's what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about the goal of building prospecting lists. So why do we actually build prospecting lists? We're going to talk about how to build prospecting lists. We're also going to be talking about how would I personally go out and do this, especially if I was starting out, because there's many ways to skin this cat. You can hire people to do this for you. You can buy lists. You can use software. I'm going to give you guys my personal recommendation because, again, there's a lot of ways to do this. And as you guys know, I love to share what you guys need to hear, not what you guys want to hear. And my job is to educate you guys, not spoon feed you. So I'm going to give you guys all the ways so that you really know how scraping and prospecting list building works. But then I'm going to also share, hey, this is what I would do if I were in your shoes. Then I'm going to share some really amazing resources that I've put together to make this really easy for you guys. And last but not least, because this is a shorter day, it's not as crazy as offer creation. It kind of is what it is. We're going to talk about how to build the list and then we're done. There's no really intense theory behind it. It just is what it is. Once I show you how to do it, you know how to do it. End of story. So that means that we're going to have time at the end for Q&A. And what I want to do today is kind of recalibrate based on everything we've learned days 1 through 4. And just open it up to rapid fire Q&A on everything we've learned so far. Does that sound fair, Travis? Yes? Cool. Guys, with that in mind, here we go. The goal of building prospecting lists. Does everyone know what a prospecting list is? If you do, drop a 1. If you don't, drop a 2. Okay, most of you guys know 1.5. I like it. Cool. So for the few of you guys that don't know what a prospecting list is, we're essentially needing to figure out what are the emails, phone numbers, Facebook pages, Instagram pages of all the people in our niche to be able to reach out to. The first step in being able to get a client is somehow getting in front of them. So in the old days, pre-COVID, you could walk into a store, right? If you wanted to go meet a dentist, you could walk in and solicit them by just walking into their practice. We want to essentially, or actually, let me take a step back. Just like you would go on Google and look for dental practices to actually walk into so that you can speak with a dentist, we want to recreate that virtually. We want to figure out who are all the dentists on the internet for us to reach out to. And then we want to figure out what their emails are, what their phone numbers are, what their Facebook pages are, what their Instagram pages are, so that we can reach out to them virtually. Does that make sense, guys? If that makes sense, now drop a 1 below. That's a prospecting list. And the goal is to eventually have the phone number, email, Facebook page, Instagram page, website of every single person in your niche. That's the dream. Obviously, it's ever changing, but that's what we want to shoot for. We want to eventually have every single contact in our niche with their email, phone number, Facebook page, Instagram page, so that we can essentially prospect and reach out to everyone. That's the ultimate goal. Now, let me go over a few of these bullet points. Again, the goal of building the list is so that we can then reach out to them. If we don't have emails of people, of dentists or gym owners or e-com stores in our niche, then we can't send them an email saying, hey, we'd like to work with you. Once we have the list, we can then place an offer in front of them and set an appointment to share more information. So for example, yesterday we talked about the go high level offer of don't pay me a single dime. I'm going to set up your first blast campaign for free. We're going to follow up with all the leads for free. We're going to get you 10 appointments in 10 days with zero ad spend, and then we get started. I'd love to be able to reach out to every dentist in the world and say, hey, would you be interested in having my team send you 10 Invisalign appointments for free? Reply with a quick yes if you want more info. No pressure either way. I want to be able to send that message out to every dentist on the planet, but how do I send that message out if I don't have dentists to reach out to? The point of building the prospecting list is to be able to reach out to them and put an offer in front of people so that then they say, yes, I want more info. And then we schedule them for an appointment to hopefully close them. Let's see. Eventually, we also want to be able to build an audience on Facebook using that data so that we could run ads targeting the people in our niche. One of the top secret strategies that we used and that I teach all of my agency clients that are growing their agencies to do is to find every single email and phone number of the business owners in your niche. So for example, let's say we're targeting real estate. We find 1 million realtors. We upload that list to Facebook. And now we can much more accurately build audiences to target on Facebook. And now we can place advertisements right in front of the people that we're trying to get as clients. So the purpose of the list goes beyond just being able to reach out to them. We could also leverage it in building audiences to advertise to. And then again, once we have the list, now we can actually start sending messages to set appointments and close appointments. So guys, that's the goal of building prospecting lists. If that makes sense, I know it's very simple stuff today. It's not nearly as advanced as offer creation yesterday, but if that makes sense, drop a 1 below and let's keep moving. So how do we actually build a prospecting list? You really only have three options. Let me actually put a number. You have three options. Option one is you use a scraping software. So for example, let me pull a few up. Give me one sec. All right. I'm going to just show you guys two quick examples. We can sign up for a software that we can use. Whoops. We can use to figure out all the emails, phone numbers of the people in our niche. There's Local Scraper, D7, Lead Kahuna, Google Maps email extractor, and I'm sure there's new ones as well. There's always new ones. It doesn't really matter which one you pick. Just pick one, and what it will do is it'll ask you to put in the keyword for your niche and to pick a city, and then it'll actually scrape all the data and pull it for you. Now, later on, at the very end, I'm going to give you guys some resources like USA Top 400 Cities. So you guys can essentially go and plug every single one of the top cities in with your keyword. And then now you essentially need to run 400 searches. And now you have the emails and phone numbers of every single chiropractor or gym owner for the top 400 cities. Once you're done with that, we could do 1,000 cities. Once we're done with that, I'm going to give you guys all the cities with over 10,000 people. So the idea is that this really takes a while to do with the software, but over time, we can go in and scrape. We can go in and scrape all of the listings for chiropractors in every one of the major cities. So I could spend the next hour showing you guys how to do this, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You figure out the keyword for your niche: gym, chiropractor, dentist, carpet cleaner, HVAC, plumber, roofer. You then plug in all of the top 400 cities. You do it one by one. It compiles the entire list. And it'll actually shoot out an entire CSV file with all the business's information. Once you're done with the top 400 cities, then you move on to the top 1,000 cities. So I guess you would do 400 to 1,000. Then you would move over to scraping all of the cities in the US with over a 10,000 person population. And then if you really, 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 really want to get every city in the US, even if the population is less than 10,000, which you don't really need to at that point, you can go to this website right here and click on each state. And I'm going to give you guys these links, so don't feel like you need to type it down. Where is it? And then you go to cities. And then it gives you all the cities in the entire state. So if you really wanted to, you could go state by state, then city by city with your keyword using one of those softwares and scrape the emails, phone numbers, business information and data for every single business in the US in your niche. So you guys can use D7, Lead Kahuna, Local Scraper, Google Maps email extractor. I'm sure if you do a quick Google search, scraping software, you'll find new ones. It doesn't really matter. You just got to pick one and go for it. This is option number one. Option number two, you can buy lists that are ready to go. So for example, let me just stop sharing for a sec. Give me one sec. Real estate list. Okay. I can go to a data company. I think Info USA might have just been bought. Info USA was probably the biggest one. I think they just got purchased though, because they changed their name. But you can essentially reach out to them and they will build you a list. So you could call them and say, hey, I need a list of all the realtors in the US. That's option one. You could also just Google real estate email lists or whatever you want. And like, for example, this guy's selling a list of 2 million realtors, updated as of 2020. So you can just buy it and skip the whole software, skip the having to go city by city and taking all the time and organizing. You could just go and buy a list. You might save a little bit of money on the software, but given the fact that you're going to have to put a lot of time into it, it probably will cost you as much in terms of your time as just going and buying one. So option two, you can buy lists that are ready to go. Info USA, you can search on Google. You can ask in groups. I guarantee you guys, I don't know if you want to spam the high level group, but I'm sure if someone posts, and don't do it. Okay, well, if you post in a group saying that you need a list, I'm sure someone has the resources to be able to pull one for you. For example, in my private client group, we have a dedicated person who can scrape entire databases. So we have someone that built a script. And I'm not telling you guys to go build a script, nor do I know how to do it, but you can pay someone that knows how to do this to scrape databases. I have someone that can scrape the entire yellow pages. I also have someone that can scrape super pages. So you can essentially find someone on the internet. Like I said, if you post in Facebook groups saying, hey, does anyone know how to scrape, or does anyone have a huge database, you can buy it from those people as well. And then guys, last option is to hire someone to scrape it for you. This is kind of a combination of 1 and 3. You can get, like, this is what we did at the very beginning, is we hired a virtual assistant, which we paid $500 a month to, who would just scrape all day. She would just run the searches, scraping every single day. You guys can also go on Fiverr or Upwork and see if there's someone that already does scraping as a service. And you can hire them to scrape for you.
Question for you, Joel.
Yeah.
So can you tell the audience, why is it so important that you scrape at these volumes, right? If I did all of those things, I feel like I would end up with like a 500,000 member database of some kind if I really did it right for my entire niche, right? Like, especially real estate, right? Why is it so important for that volume?
I think with real estate, it might not actually matter, as like, you don't have to get every single realtor on the planet. I think for a niche like chiros or gym owners or med spas, you absolutely need every single person, since there's a lot less. And the reason we want to grab as many emails and phone numbers is so that we can continue prospecting pretty much forever. And for example, let's say that you're doing cold email and you're sending personalized messages and you're doing 100 a day. If there's 50,000 chiros, divided by 100, that gives us 500 days of prospecting. So you essentially have people to reach out to for the rest of the year and more, for about a year and a half, before running out of people to reach out to. The other reason is because if we can take those emails and phone numbers and upload them to Facebook, we could run ads to them and target the people that we want to get as clients. So those are the two big reasons. I'd say in a niche like real estate, it might be the exception to the rule. Like, that might be that, or one of the big niches like insurance agents, that might be like the exception to the rule where you don't need every single one.
So, Joe, what you're saying is your daily volume has to be fairly high enough. So those of you that are sending 20 emails a day and not getting any replies, right? There's a reason, because the daily volume has to be at a certain level for each industry specifically, depending on how many leads you want to bring in, right?
Yeah. And I think some of you guys are saying, I saw someone say, hey, I got some bad lists on Fiverr or Upwork. I'm not saying that is the route to go. I'm just saying this is how you can get lists. And as you guys see on the next slide, it's not what I would actually recommend. So with that in mind, you've got all these options. And again, I'm here to teach you guys and educate you guys on all the ways to scrape. These are all the ways that I know how to do it. Now, what would I actually do? If it were up to me, I would go and buy a list immediately. I would just see it as a cost of doing business if I'm starting an agency. So I really love the gym equipment analogy. If you get into business as a gym owner, you can't just skip out on buying equipment, especially if it's a traditional gym. You can't just, so let's ignore CrossFit for a second. Traditional gym, you can't start up a gym and then have it be an empty warehouse. You need to buy the equipment. You got to suck it up and do it. There's no other way around it, or else you don't have a gym. And I look at lists as a necessary expense that's part of doing business as a marketing agency owner. And especially with anything B2B, just to amplify that a little bit. If you're doing B2B, I would buy a list, and that would be one of the first things I do when I start my business. So with that in mind, a lot of you guys are trying to start a gym with no equipment, and I would take a step back and commit to invest into your business and really just accept the fact that this is a mandatory expense. That's what I would do. If it was up to me, I would just suck it up. I'd pay the few $100s or $1,000 to get a huge database. Now I'm good to go. I don't even have to go scrape or think about it or hire anyone. Just go on the website. I pay for the database and I'm done. Now, with that in mind, I truly believe that the more the merrier. And you also have to keep in mind, lists are ever evolving. Every year there's new chiropractors. Every year there's new e-com stores. Every year there's new gym owners, less gym owners. And it's a never-ending thing. So not only do I commit to making the investment up front, but I also commit to ongoing investments into databases. So with that in mind, if I were you guys, if it was up to me, I would buy a list, and then I would also hire a virtual assistant to scrape for me using one of the softwares. That's what I would do. That's what I recommend. And I wouldn't go on Fiverr or Upwork. That's not what I would do. And again, your goal ultimately is to have every contact point for everyone in your niche ever. So with that in mind, guys, I've got some amazing free tools for you. Pretty much, I've already shown you a bunch of this stuff. If you do want to scrape yourself or have a VA scraped, on this website, it shows you all the states, and then you can go through each state and pull up every single city. I'm also going to send you guys this top 1,000 cities list. I'm also going to send you guys all U.S. cities with over 10,000 population. I'm also going to send you guys this top 400 cities spreadsheet. And then last but not least, here's a tracker. And I didn't originally create this, but it was shared with me a while ago, and it was really powerful. So I wanted to share it with you guys. This tracker has all the states, and you can go state by state with all the cities. So you can essentially check things off as you go, just to make it super easy. It's just, all it is states with all the cities. That way you can check off as you go. That's pretty much it. So with that in mind, I told you guys it was going to be a shorter day. As I mentioned at the beginning, once you know how to do it, it kind of is what it is. There's no secret sauce. There's no underlying framework. It just is what it is. So with that in mind, we can open it up to Paulson. Maybe we should do Q&A on day 4 on just what we learned, and then rapid fire Q&A for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. So let me just give you guys a practical rundown of what Joel talked about. When Joel first shared this with me, right? What I did was went straight to a database scraper because they're professionals. They know what's good data, bad data. Yes, there's some bad apples, but I just paid the guy like 150 bucks or 200 bucks and he scraped me like 2, 3 lists, right? So first thing I did was hand that over to my BA. She started cranking out about 100 cold emails a day. Within a week, we're up to 300. Within like 15 days, we're sending out 500, 600 a day just on cold email from just that same list. That same list is used as custom audience, and we ran ads at the same time. Based on the leads and conversions and people that came in, we set up retargeting ads. Literally 3 channels in less than 10 days, cranking out 1,500 outbound interactions from my agency right out of the gate. Right.
Yeah,
So what he said was just all the different steps, but you got to connect all this together because at the end of the day, it's about activity that you're doing in the industry. Literally in 30 days, you're gonna have to get creative with new email copy. You're gonna have to get creative with new ads, new retargeting. But the key is to keep the water running. You can't stop the water, regardless of whatever problems happen. You have to keep the sales water running. What did you say, Joel?
the scrape that I ran earlier is done. Obviously, I'm not going to pay for it, but as you guys can see, it pulls up the name, the phone number, the email. It pulls up for some of them their LinkedIn, their Facebook, their Messenger, their Instagram. So, for example, if you have a virtual assistant sending messages on Facebook, they could just go through here, just click it.
Yeah, I actually just hired a virtual assistant. I was like, hey, what softwares are you familiar with? Literally bought those subscriptions, gave her the logins and password, and she scrapes every single day by herself, sets up the Excel sheet, and I'm not involved. That activity, I rather focus on revenue generating activities for myself versus getting that just delegated.
If you have a more complex niche that requires a more advanced scrape, that's going to cost more. That's how, for the most part, it's going to be a few $100. But if you're targeting a very specific sub niche that's going to require an in-depth LinkedIn scrape, and it's not as simple as just going off of a keyword on a software, that's where it's going to start costing you more. So with that in mind, those niches tend to be more higher value, right? Because there's probably less of them. So with that in mind, we have a lot of questions. Paulson, should I just rapid fire these questions and answers?
Yeah,
Guys, before I answer them, was this helpful? I know today was not as crazy, oh my God, golden nuggets as the other days, but was it still helpful? If so, drop a 1 below. And I want to get some feedback, and then I'll scroll back up for the questions.
Go for
Sweet.
It. Let me just go to the top, unless you want me to. Here, I'll just go through the questions and read it out to you, Joel. Let's see, guys. We had a lot of ones. What do I do now? Let's see.
I scrolled up too. I can go through these really, really quickly. I have not tried seamless.io.
Yeah.
Juan said just business numbers and emails. Ideally, you can also get other pages as well, like their Facebook page or Instagram page, so that you can also message their pages as a form of reaching out.
Yeah, I like to get as many as I can as far as data points are concerned, because when I take that list and upload it for custom audiences to run campaigns, I have better odds of matching more data points than just name and a phone number on Facebook itself.
Yeah, for sure. What tool do we use to determine how many business are in a particular niche?
Google.
I don't overcomplicate it. I just Google it. I think you guys saw me on day 1 or day 2. How many realtors are there? How many plastic surgeons are there? We did those searches, and it's kind of a guesstimate. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just kind of having a general idea and a general understanding of how many people there are in your niche.
Yeah.
Um, let's
Yeah,
see.
perfect. The next question I have is, are you concerned about duplicate contacts on a different list?
Not really. I think this is a great point. A lot of you guys are overcomplicating it and you're worried about duplicates, but is it clean or not clean? Just scrape as many as humanly possible. Try to make it as clean as possible and then send as many messages as possible.
Yeah,
That's pretty
next,
much it. I think a lot of you guys get stuck on these very on these tiny little
analytical
details
mind.
that
Yeah.
like we talked about on day one, trying to solve all those puzzles in your mind will give you a sense of progress and momentum. But in reality, it's just your brain trying to protect you from going out and taking more action.
I love that,
Yes,
Stephanie.
Stephanie, can you show that actually a little closer? Is it getting you closer to a sale? Being concerned with duplicate contacts on different lists is like not going to get me any closer to a sale. However, figuring out how to scrape more emails and phone numbers and then sending more messages will.
Yeah, make that
Um,
that was Stephanie, thank you for doing your homework from day one. I appreciate that. Peter
that's freaking
goes,
awesome, Stephanie.
yeah, Peter Edling goes, can you
You should
tell
get a
us what
tattoo. No, I'm
volumes?
just kidding. Don't get a tattoo.
Peter goes, what can you tell us about what volumes we need per day?
In terms of scraping or in terms of
I
messages,
think outbound. I think Peter's talking about outbound. Yeah.
we're gonna do outbound. I think tomorrow. So
Okay.
we'll talk more tomorrow. I think it's gonna
Okay.
be more niche dependent. If you have 5,000 people in your niche, I'd probably do a more personalized approach. Uh, that way you can spread it out. If you're doing more of a volume niche like real estate, I would just crank it up 5,000 emails a day, some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Next question is Troy goes, how much on average is it to buy data? It really depends on the purity of the data and the activation of the data, right? So you can have good and bad. Every data provider will have good and bad data. You don't know what you're gonna get. It's almost like gambling. You're gonna take some risks on this, but if you hit it, you hit it hard. You get a good list and you're set for like a quarter.
Yeah, I have a guy that is super under the radar and he'll only sell a database 3 times and then he won't actually scrape it again for a few months. So you have at least a quarter, like you said, for it to be your own. But it costs a few $1,000s. So there's a trade-off.
Yeah. Debbie goes, why still hire a VA to scrape when we can just constantly buy lists?
You that's what I'm saying too.
Opportunity
I would
cost.
rather do that. I would say
Well, if
like
you let's say you don't have a client yet, you're in a different scenario versus somebody who has two clients,
uh,
right?
look, if it were up to me, guys, I would just buy lists and I would not waste time with any other methods. Like the 80/20 of this entire workshop today is go out and buy a list and just have that database.
Yeah.
I
Ron
guess the
goes,
only risk involved is that if the person getting you the list is bad, they might not be able to pull it. And then the other piece is that a lot of those people don't scrape Facebook pages and Instagram pages like something like D7. So that might be the only reason you also want to scrape on a software. But the 80/20 of it is, yeah, save time by just spending the 300 or $400 to buy a list.
yeah. Ron goes, can GHL be used for sending 500,000 emails of your own for your own prospecting? Absolutely not. Do not use high level for prospecting. Use it for nurturing the prospects, right? Because your entire agency is on that, right? All your sub accounts. So I 100% do not recommend,
Yeah, I would rather you guys use a tool like Gmail and send out emails one by one.
right? And
Let's
then
see.
let's see. Hey Joel, how are you going to send this to everyone? Joel, if you you're talking about the Excel links that you said you were going to provide. If you want to put that into the chat, I can send that over to people, or I don't know any other way.
I'll send it to you after the training and I'll just pull all the links, but they're hyperlinked in the present. You have access to the presentation. They're hyperlinked. in the presentation.
Yeah, they don't. The audience don't have access to the presentation. Only I do.
Okay. I would say we'll get it over to you guys after the training.
Sounds
That
good.
way I don't have to pull it right now.
Yeah. Is there a way to scrape emails from Facebook groups?
If you find a
Yeah.
way, let me know. There's a tool that I came across. It kind of works, kind of doesn't. It's called Lead Enforce, but I don't actually. It was inconsistent, so
Yeah.
you can try it. I'm not, but I don't know if it'll actually work as well as it says it will.
Guys,
That's
remember
definitely more.
sorry. We're teaching you how to fish. We're not gonna tell you which one is good, which bait is good, which pole is good, which water to go to. That's not the concept of this class, right? It's really understanding why you're fishing, the purposes of it. Today, if we sit around and talk about a few strategies, quarter one is gonna be outdated. Right? That's what you got to take away from it. Sorry, Joel. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's all good. I think you guys got enough mindset from me the past 3 days. That's why I'm laying low today on mindset.
Stephanie goes, are we manually emailing them from our personal email for each lead on the list, or can we bulk do this? I've done it both ways. Not sure what you
I
recommend.
don't recommend bulk. Their only reason is because deliverability will go down the drain.
Right.
I would rather you set up a G Suite with like 10 users, really warm it up, subscribe to a lot of newsletters, send a bunch of emails back and forth, and then email one by one. So go into one user. You could make it Joel at dentalimplantpatients.com, Joel 2 at dentalimplantpatients.com, Joel 3, and then you could use one user at a time and send out individual emails. That's what's working right now.
Yep. And I've done this. I've got like 80 Gmail accounts. Each one says Paulson Thomas 1 at blah blah blah.com, Paulson Thomas 2 at blah blah blah.com. And my VA has access to those profiles. I've never even seen them. She just literally pounds all the subscriptions to like Amazon, Abercrombie, J. Crew, all these places, and it just populates.
Is it you or is it your VA, Paulson?
It's me too.
I could see you as a J. Crew kind of guy. This is J. Crew, actually. This shirt right here.
Dude, it's comfy. It's comfy. I go with comfortable clothes. I don't care about
It's a little side note. I went to the mall the other day and I went to J. Crew and everything was on crazy sale. And the mall was totally empty. Like it's ghost town. It's crazy. I'm like, how are these stores even open anymore?
Yeah. So Steph,
Anyways.
that's the way you do it at bulk is like have one profile. Don't send more than 10 to 15 a day. Most cold email VAs know these parameters per
Guys,
account.
Let's jump into I want to end on one note I think is really important for you guys, and then I'm going to open it up to some takeaways for the workshop's first 4 days, and really just like I said, today's going to be a lighter day to just kind of give everyone a mental break, and that way we can all come together as a community and just share what we've gotten from this workshop so far. Does that sound good, guys? If it does, drop a 1 below. And the final point I want to end on today, guys, a lot of you guys are asking all these questions that lead me right back to this slide from day one. One sec. How many of you guys remember this slide about being reactive instead of being proactive, especially at the beginning? Take action, then evaluate, then take more action. Don't evaluate, wait, get paralyzed by your own analysis, and then never take action in the first place. A lot of you guys are stuck right now in, what about this? What about that? And then it's almost like all the technical complexity gives you comfort in that it gets your brain going and you're trying to problem solve, but it doesn't actually get you to where you want to go. So as we step more and more into the technical stuff, which we're kind of getting really deep in it right now and over the next few days, I want you guys to remember day one. The most important part about all of this working is not figuring out every little complexity behind everything I'm teaching you guys. It's just in taking action then getting data and feedback from the action that you took, then going back and taking more action. So for example, someone asked the question, should I upload business emails to a custom audience or not business emails? I know the answer to it, and it's that it doesn't matter. Just upload it, see if it works, come back, take more action. And that's going to be much better advice that I can give you guys than helping you answer every single technical question that will make you feel good. And it'll give your brain comfort knowing that you have everything checked off. But I promise you, even if you have everything checked off, you're going to move on to the next technical complexity to prevent yourself from going out and taking more action. So I would say all of these things don't really matter too much until you've scraped a big list and have started to send thousands of messages. If it's still not working, then that's when I would worry about it. I don't want you guys to drown in the sea of complexity, which is unfortunately where we're headed, because we're going to be teaching you guys more tactics and technical stuff over the next few days. But it's really important to remind you guys not to drown and to keep your eyes on what we talked about day one, which is taking the first step, being reactive more than proactive, not worrying about steps 8, 9, and 10, worry about step number 1, and that's it. Not even step 2 and 3. So hopefully that helps, guys. And it's funny because everyone's like, Joel, how do you get people such great results? It's not because of the technical stuff. That's not what makes the difference. It's that I can really see what prevents people from taking action, what empowers people to take action, and helping people achieve breakthroughs in that, not in the software to use and how to upload the list. All that stuff is easy to figure out. And what's hard to figure out is how to get you to just take more action and not overthink it. I'm going to say one last thing. No matter what stage of the business you're at, there's always going to be complexity. And you can always get sucked in, even at my level. Even at my level, it's very, very easy to get sucked into the complexity, into the technical. And 9 times out of 10, the answer is just to take more action and then see if it worked or if it didn't work. So instead of being like, oh, does YouTube work for this niche? And what about this? And what about that? 9 times out of 10, the answer is just to try it, see what happens, reevaluate, take more action, rinse and repeat. So cool. With that in mind, let's open it up for some takeaways. I want to hear from you guys. What's who wants to share? Drop a 1 below if you want to share.
Raise your hand, actually, because I get a lot of ones and it's hard to keep track of it.
No worries.
So raise your hand on the reaction button, so that way we go down the list. And
I actually don't know how to do that.
There's a little button at the bottom. It says reactions.
Oh.
And you can go raise. You can just go.
Nice.
You can just go clap, essentially, or any one of those emojis. It'll give me a chronological thing. But let's do essentially, guys, a Q&A of the whole entire workshop so far, leading up to today, right? Instead of just staying on the technicals of what we talked about today. Let's start with Peter. Please feel free to unmute yourself, buddy, and let's have at it.
Hi.
Hey.
Thanks, guys. This is awesome. As Paulson know, I'm in Spain, so it's late evening here. So I'm running on fumes right now. But anyway, I want to tell you that as many others has spoken about, it was highly valuable, Joel, that you actually just focus on look away from the details and focus on the sales. Go forward. And it's because it's tough. Here in Spain, we have, as in the US, people dying like flies. So you're talking about the mall being empty? Yeah, well, we have businesses going down here every day now. So
Wow.
It's really hard for people. And you don't go outside. I sit here each and every day trying to just focus and getting out. And so for that, I would say thank you. because it really was a new birth, so to speak. It's helped me in that sense. And also the practicality of everything. You're spot on. Focus. Don't bother about it. Just focus. So I'm really happy I've done this, and I will stay on.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you so
guys.
much, Peter. Thank you for the
Yeah,
kind words,
cool.
man. It means a lot. That really does mean a lot. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Let's go with
I lived in Spain for 6 months at one point in Madrid.
You did.
So
you know how
yeah,
to speak
Cool place.
Spanish?
yeah. Most people don't know this about me. I was actually born in Venezuela, so I was born in South
What?
America. Yeah, I lived
What?
there.
No way.
Yeah,
Didn't know that, man.
speak fluent Spanish. I moved to the U.S. when I was 8. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, most people don't know that about me, but now you guys know.
Cool.
Hey, fellow immigrant
I
here,
like
man.
to throw people off when they least
Yeah.
expect it. That's what I like to do.
Hey,
Or
let's
even
go with
better, meeting someone that speaks Spanish and not telling them for the first few times,
Oh, yeah, that's
and then
cool.
you break it out. Like that's just I've actually done that a few times.
let's that's not very nice, Joel. Let's go with Mylan.
Hey guys, it's been like really valuable. I think the biggest thing, as Peter mentioned, is like just focus on sales, nothing else. And I think I think like the biggest thing is like there's 10,000 different things you could be learning from the technical side, and from high level side. Because like you guys have new videos coming up with all kind of crazy things that you could be doing, and just not focusing on that, and just being reactive. I think that's been the biggest takeaway. And I think like one thing that I was talking to someone this morning was one thing, like I absolutely love high level and all the functionalities to it, but I think like it became like in the beginning, like when I get a client, it becomes like to set up the entire campaign, like it takes way too much time, and there's 10 million like small things that I need to take care of. So I think like one thing that I'm going to maybe doing going forward is, hey, I'll run a review campaign, database reactivation campaign, and only do a Facebook lead site. Till I get to a certain point, and then only show them like all the nitty gritty of high level. But overall, like get less out of the nitty gritty and just focus on sale. I think it's been really enlightening for sure.
You know what's crazy? Um, the first few months that we used high level, we had like 5 text follow-ups for our client. It was really, really basic stuff. Like it was just not complex. Because a lot of times as marketers, what we do is we try to compensate for our clients' lack of business skills by adding more complexity. And then what happens is it just creates clutter and it creates even more complexity. And now instead of helping them level up and just actually go on high level and respond and just do the act of that, we're trying to add these crazy automations and add all this other stuff, which makes us feel like we're fixing the problem. But the real root is in helping our clients level up and actually, for example, use high level. It's like, yo, just log in once a day. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think one of the first things Joel talked about is there's typically not that many business problems. It's the entrepreneur that's operating it that causes all the problems, right? Because there's a profitable business in every industry that is crushing it, no matter what. In every market, in every local market, every global market, somebody is crushing it in every industry space. That tells us the entrepreneur, the operator is the problem, right?
And
Um,
I have one quick question, guys. So I know Joe mentioned like a couple days ago that, hey, like when you pick a niche, like select a niche that has been successful. Other people have scaled it to 7 figures, 6 figure, whatever it is. But how do you like? Let's say I picked the niche childcare centers, right? How do I know if other people have been successful in scaling that niche?
Guys, has anyone here been successful in the childcare niche?
we've got 12 clients in the education and childcare and Montessori space. I mean, they're all They are what we
I think that's
call
the exact niche that I was talking.
Yeah, the point I was trying to make by asking is, I think it's you're never going to get this accurate, like, I know for with certainty answer. I think it's going to be more like you throw it out there and you see how many people respond. For example, I promise you, if you ask in the high level group how many people run a Cairo agency doing over 50K a month, you're going to get a ton of people.
Right.
If you ask how many people run a child care center agency doing over 50K a month, you're going to get a lot less people. You might get some, and if you do, that tells me that it is possible, but there's a lot less people in it. So it's going to...
Is that a good thing or a bad thing typically?
Like I mentioned on day 2, again, it's not black or white, guys. If you found a way to get childcare centers some crazy results that no one else has figured out, then that's your golden ticket. But if you're starting out and you have no idea how to get childcare centers results, and there's no one else to be able to help you when you get stuck, which you will at some point, then it may be best to just go into a niche that has been proven, where someone has laid out the path, and you just have to figure out how to take it and be better. Like we talked about with e-commerce, it's like finding a proven product and reading all the reviews and then seeing, everyone doesn't like how this yoga mat is hard to roll up at the end, so I'm going to make it easier to roll up, whatever the case might be. So, but it isn't black or white, you know.
Well, you know, the real key of what Joel talked about in day 2 is unsaturated versus saturated. Saturated means you've got more friends. They're going to help you. Most of us look at other agencies as competition. I don't. I've got more people I can talk to about it and make it right. If it's unsaturated, that means I'm by myself on an island. I've got to educate this entire industry before they become an active buyer of my service. I'd rather be in a saturated niche with help versus by myself in an unsaturated industry with no help. Especially in the beginning, at least to get to 10K or even more, even 100K. That's my philosophy.
Unless you found some unique system that we don't know, right? Like,
Well, I mean, like
I have a student in my program that does over 100,000 a month in the water damage niche, but he's figured out how to get water damage companies extremely good results. Is that something that I would recommend to a beginner? Absolutely not, unless they can connect with this other guy. But I doubt he's going to want to share his secrets. Whereas, so that's kind of the thought process. So
let's go with Travis. Travis, is it Kieran? Did I get that right? Travis, you there?
I think he raised his hand.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. This is from kind of the pick a niche day, and I think I know what you're gonna say, but it hurts. I've only been selling as a SaaS product. It's a hands-off. I do nothing once they're set up. It's about 10 minutes to set up a client, a few $100s a month. And then I want to add a niche just for the marketing aspect. Should I literally just stop all efforts and or accepting of anything for that easy, low-hanging SaaS product?
Is the SaaS product in a niche or no?
No, it's just reviews and conversations. It's called Review Revolution. That's it. And it works for any business that wants to give it a shot,
How are you getting customers right now?
I'm doing the BNI local hero thing, like you're saying, talking Travis about the other day, but just locally.
Honestly speaking, where are you at in your business?
13 paid accounts.
How much are they paying you?
300.
Yeah, I would say, is there a reason that it's not higher?
I just
how come you don't have 100 clients on it?
I just got high level a month and a half ago. And so spin up time. And I've never done any cold email outreach. I didn't even know how to do that until today.
Here's my thought. If you had told me I have 100 clients on this and I figured out a way, then you might just be an outlier. And I would say keep doing what's working. I'm not here to judge results, but given the fact that you're still starting out, I would absolutely pick a niche to scale it in and then start to build out. if you
Okay.
look at all the biggest review companies like Review Wave, they picked a vertical and then they started to go wider.
Okay.
It's just so much easier. The you can speak to the niche, you can really understand them, you can really then become more than just a review company and help them solve additional problems. It's just, I mean, this is why I've stayed in the, guys, internally in my company, we've had the conversation about going wider than and helping businesses beyond agency owners. One of the reasons we keep saying no, no, no is because it's so much more powerful to say that I only help agency owners and I'm very, 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 very good at it, rather than saying I help every online business that wants to scale. So
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
what I would do.
one of the biggest differences between our agency here at High Level versus Joel's, Joel ran a very successful, very niched, very, in lane agency and scaled it with speed, right? It took us years to scale this thing, and we're a traditional agency with billboards, radio ads, service lines, and we actually went into creating something called Patient Rush, Legal Rush, Real Estate Rush, all these little programs, and try to then niche down. And that was hard as well, right? But Joel went straight into chiropractors, and I think what is it, like 150, 100, 200 clients or something like that, right? But guess what? His entire assembly line knows what their job is. Guess what we have to do? We get into counseling sessions every other day. Oh, this and that. That's literally the
You
problem
also
because
have to keep in mind you have a way bigger team that can handle a lot more. And guys,
now, but not before.
really,
With when we opened up marketplaces, when we hired on, but we had a fairly lean team, and we were all pounding and mounding with like 10 different service lines. Like this year is when we expanded the team from like 12 to like almost 42, because we started doing the white label side of agency services. But from a scaling perspective, don't do what we did. Absolutely not. Yes, we got to 400 plus clients, but this took some serious stress on every family that was involved, every employee's families that was involved. I promise you. Not intentionally, but if I do it all over again, which I am doing now, I'm going to do it the Joel way, which is niche down. And you're selling reviews, right, Travis? I wouldn't say niche down into a service either. You cannot niche down into being the hammer seller. At some point, that hammer is going to go out, right?
yeah, Travis, go all in, man. Stop wasting time. Stop going to BNI. There's better ways to get clients. I did it too. Don't get me wrong. I did it for like a year and I was like, okay, this is getting silly.
Dude, I got to a point where people thought I was selling cupcakes. They thought that's what I was
It's just
doing.
a waste. I was like,
Dude,
it was just crazy. Again,
Mr.
Paulson, I do have to run. Unfortunately, I do have another meeting to go to, but
Yeah.
to end on this note, Travis, I would recommend this in front of everyone. Go all in on one niche. And if you had told me you were at 100 clients, that's a different story. You're just starting out. You have nothing to lose by going all in and having extreme focus and building from there.
Yeah.
And again, guys, from day one, I mentioned it's not black or white. That's why I'm here to empower you guys, not spoon feed you guys. There are some outliers. There are some people that support all local businesses, but there's a lot more agencies that are crushing it in one niche than there are agencies crushing it in all the other niches. And the chances of you being that outlier are way smaller. That's like saying, oh, Elon Musk built a massive space travel company. Why can't I build one? Most people can't be like Elon Musk. That's just a fact. But
he was also funded with 400 employees behind him too, for every single one of those companies. It's not the same thing here.
And just because it's effective doesn't mean it's optimal. That's why I'm going to end on this note. And I think it's a fascinating example. Back in college, I had a lifting buddy and we would go to the gym together. This guy was really, really strong and amazing genetics. And he told me, Joel, you actually don't want to do what I do, because just because it's effective for me and it works for me Doesn't mean that it's the best route for most people. He had amazing genetics, played sports all of his life. It's a different ballgame. So you really have to ask yourself, not is it possible for someone to succeed in it? Instead, you should ask yourself, what is the path that's going to have the highest chances of success for me? So, all right, guys, I got to run. I appreciate all of you very, very much. Thank you, Paulson, for continuing to put this together. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for first day of prospecting.
For sure, buddy. Thanks for being here. Guys, I'm going to stay on
Take more
for
action.
another,
Peace out.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on for another 15, 20 to just finish up Q&A for those that may have any questions. And Justin, go ahead, man. Justin Pena.
Hey, how's it going, Paulson?
Hey, buddy. How's it going? What's your question?
Well, I was just going to say to Joel and you, thank you for putting this together. It's funny, I would have never guessed that Joel's from Venezuela. I'm actually in Colombia right now, so right next to Venezuela. But yeah, I think my biggest takeaway just over these past 4 days has been Joel uses a lot of great analogies, but the one that I love the most is that the popcorn effect. The idea of the popcorn in the microwave. It's gonna be 20 seconds, 30 seconds of zero pops, and then you get one pop, two pop, and then all of a sudden it explodes. And that really resonated with me because I've only been in marketing for about 3 years now, and I think when I first got started, it was actually with Billy Jean's group, and that's where I met you, and then I kind of flipped over to like 5 different other programs until where I'm at now, and it was just because every time I would do something and it would either work a little bit or not quite work all the way, and I would skip and try different strategies. So I think that analogy definitely helped a lot to kind of just stay focused on one thing, commit to it for 6 months, and reanalyze after that. But a question I did have was kind of off of yesterday about the offers. And I don't know, it would be easier if I could share my screen to kind of show you my offer, if that's okay, or if not, you're on mute, Paulson.
Since it's all recorded and I've got to go through compliance and things like that.
Gotcha.
So
yeah,
just tell me what
so the idea is like,
what is your
I've kind of mashed up, the offer that you've talked about and like your strategy session calls, and then your SaaS calls, combined with what Joel was talking about yesterday. And when I'm looking at it on my slide deck, it looks a little too complicated, I guess. Because I start with like the major investment, this is all you get, $2,500 a month. And then, right after that slide, I go to the SaaS downsell offer of, $297 a month, just get the software. Then after that, so a little bit of background, I'm running a live workshop on Saturday where I'm going to present this to about 16 businesses so far. So right after that SaaS offer slide, I have a 1-day special offer just for that workshop, and that is the go high level offer that Joel talked about. 7 clients, 7 days, no money down, no credit card, free database reactivation campaign. And then right after that slide, it's like, or if you want to, purchase the all-inclusive marketing package, that's normally $2,500 a month. You can purchase it today for $1,500. You're locked in, saving $1,000 a month every month.
Yeah. How many clients or prospects have you presented this to yet?
0. Yeah, so this would be a first time thing on Saturday, presenting it to 16 people.
Okay. So until that audience responds to your offer, we're just going to sit here and talk about theoretical stuff. Right?
It doesn't sound too complicated. I can logically walk them through it. I just don't want to overwhelm them and kind of get them confused.
Yeah. So the best thing that you can do when it comes to sales and prospecting in general, right, is linguistic skills, right? In linguistic skills that I know some of you understand that I have, because when I talk to some of you guys, I tend to just kind of dumb it down, right? And that's the way I operate in life in general. Anywhere I go very basic in how I talk to them. When I do my sales, I ask them, what do you want for your business? What's your goal? Right? They tell me XYZ. Cool. I can get you there. I've got a few tools, a few strategies. We can explore a couple of those ideas and go from there. Well, okay, great, Paulson. Um, what would that mean? What's the investment like? Well, since I'm brand new, starting in your industry for the first time, I like to let you just name your price. Cool. I got $500 and that's all I got. Okay, cool. Not a problem. Better than a trial for me, right? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up a high level campaign for you. And matter of fact, I'm just going to do this for you at $250 because I just want to prove this concept to you and system to you. And there's no point in talking about all this and going through all these systems on the sales call. I'd rather just talk about all that on our strategy call, the very first one that we do when we decide if we're going to make a fit together. You see how I just skipped over this damn demo thing and just went straight for the punch, right? Some of you guys, and I'm not saying Justin you are, but some of you are, you play quarterback and you're so dependent on the playbook, and you can't function outside of the playbook, right? A real athlete knows how to be agile, right? They know the scenarios. And on top of that, their mindset is just like their IQ is just so high in the environment, right? Many of you that I talk to, right? I tell you, hey, we're not good at certain things when it comes to marketplace. I'm the one telling you that. I want you to have the right expectations. And I tell you, hey, we're really great at some of these things. Based on your scenario, this is what you should consider. I do the same thing with direct clients. Hey, I don't know if this is the right time for you to like do honest selling versus the sales that you need to hit your KPI. I ask them, does this make sense to invest into marketing today? Or do you want to wait another 60 days? And why? Because guess what? That's their objection in their mind anyway. I might as well bring it out and punch it. Right? So you got to be linguistically like strategic in how you're talking about it. I sell high level without ever logging into high level. I sell marketing packages without demo slides. Can everybody do that? I think so. Do I recommend you doing one call closes? No. I just think whatever you present has to be simplified. Your demos have to be simplified, right? Hey, I've got a software. We have conversations in there. It also show you opportunities and also give you a full database idea of what's going on with your finances. What are you guys thinking about? Conversations feature, opportunities feature, and dashboard feature. The business owner is thinking about, oh, he's going to help me with overall opportunities of this business. You see how the difference is on that language, right? So, Justin, I think you're doing the right thing. Your offer is not complicated at all. It's how you present the offer, right? You're thinking about, oh, upsell, downsell, my main package. When do I use the SaaS offer? All these things. Let that client tell you what they want. Let them tell you, hey guys, I don't want to be salesy, but this is what I do for a living. I believe in my service. I've done this before. Or if I'm in a brand new industry, I just started a brand new agency with my new business partner out in Toronto, literally about a month ago, right? And the first couple of calls, I'm cold calling, right? Middle of the day, my lunch break, I'm cold calling. Hey, dude, are you there? Like, hey, we're brand new in the industry. We think we have a great potential to partner up with you. Can you take on more business? Huh? Who are you? Right? That's the first thing they say. It's like, oh, thanks for asking. Can we set up an intro call so we can actually meet each other? Right? Right? As soon as so every once in a while, I'll try to get off the demo call, especially if I don't think they're ready to actually purchase. If I know they're not going to like buy, I want them to force the purchase on me, right? As soon as you do a demo and you don't even talk about price, try to get off the phone call. See what happens. hey, that's it. Hey, Peter, I don't have anything else to talk about. We've shared everything that we need to. Take it or leave it, implement it yourself, tell your team about it, or make sure you tell your advertising agency about it.
And
Right?
that's how it actually
Oh,
looks in our slides.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, like the thank
and
you
they're
questions,
yeah,
then
and they're gonna be like,
ask about
well,
price.
you didn't talk about the price.
Mhm.
As soon as they say you didn't talk about the price, I'm gonna be like, oh, great point. Should we talk about your finances and how this business is actually operating? Because I'm going to ask them permission to talk about those numbers. Because now I'm going to talk about my investment, not the expense that they have, but the investment, right? So there is a way to go about it linguistically. And the only way I figured this out by was practice. I did it such high repetition and practice and practice and practice. But sorry for my well-winded answer, but it all correlates together, and I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely for one-on-one, I think yeah, that's kind of what we're doing now. But would you kind of keep it the same if you're talking to a group of people?
100%. 100%. Hey guys, I appreciate imagine you're on a stage, right? I've been at these conferences with like 500 dentists. I remember my last line. Oh, I think we had a session in like North Carolina when I had my dental agency, and I had a really good friend out in Louisiana who flew me out. He was a dentist, and blah blah blah, and they had me do a presentation. What do all the other marketing companies do? They get on a presentation opportunity and they're pitching. I don't want to do that. So what do I do? Hey guys, no sales pitch. Just want to share with you what you should be doing. And at the end of the whole presentation, I told them, hey, remember in the beginning of this conversation, during my presentation, I told you there's no sales pitch, and I'm just going to honor my statement. And I've got nothing to sell you. Matter of fact, don't approach me today. I got off the stage. That day, I
Yeah,
collected almost 18 clients in the same day
yeah, that
because I
feels
got
more
off the
comfortable
stage.
than like going through a slide of this is the numbers and prices of everything, and then
Yeah,
I
it's
just
it's it's
get off.
positioning. It's positioning who you are, right? It's not about the slides or your offers or your strategies. It's who is presenting as well and how you're going about it. Is what I'm saying, right? Imagine what happens if you get off the stage without being pitched, without pitching them, especially if they're so tired of getting pitched. Now, if it's an audience that's never heard this before, you can just put an offer out there. Hey, because you guys are exclusive, this is the first time we've actually presented this in this industry. Sure, there's an offer, right?
Gotcha. And those 18 clients that you signed after the stage, was that just because they came up to you, they found you, and
No, like within the next like 2 weeks, they hit me up and they're like, "Hey, who was that Indian guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, perfect, that's me." Right? It was literally that.
okay,
Right?
Hey,
So
Paulson,
yeah.
can I just a little tiny off segue here? Just a quick question. Do you think that in an offer saturated market where they're getting bombarded with offers all of the time when they have shopped into a certain thing, do you think that you should pull back on like that sort of presentation for an ad and say, this is who we are, maybe even just say, this is what you should be doing, blah, 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 and then pull back on that and
So
so
so in
be to stand out?
so in reality, Robbie, it's not a offer saturated market. It's not. It is a cold solicitations happen, but that doesn't mean there's offers that's being saturated, right? They're getting pounded with messages, yeah, but not offers. That's why we do think offers have a say in marketing agencies, right? We typically don't have offers. We all go in and say, hey, we do Facebook ads, Google ads, um, no setup fee, blah, blah, blah. That's it, right? But when you come in and say, hey, you know what? I can get you 50 new customers this month, you're putting yourself in a different rank, right? And that's going to be with offers. Now, if you find out that there's the same offer running for a while in the medical space, I remember Atlas Digital with Joel, ourselves, Patient Pop, There's a bunch of companies. We're all running like 15 appointment minimum guarantee, literally simultaneously. So few of us just changed up our offers, right? So every 45 days to 90 days, you're changing up your offers. You're changing up your creatives. It's remember that list that we talked about today. That list is a limited number, right? There's only so many people in those niches. Like there's no more, right? Med spa, for example, there's only like 20,000 or 40,000 people. That's it. No matter how we look at it, that number is not going to increase. So therefore, you've got to get creative with your offers. They're already used to getting pounded on emails and text messages and all the stuff. Yes, they're fatigued from messages coming in. They're not fatigued from offers coming in. Is that fair, Robbie? Cool. Justin, any follow-up to your question before?
No, that was great. Just gonna
Okay,
keep it
awesome.
simplified.
Yeah. Simplicity, really helps people scale. I know that for a fact. Any more questions? Anybody want to just add on here? Let me see if I have any. Thank you, Peter. Have a good one, buddy.
Paulson,
Let's
I have
see.
a question if you got a sec. It's Ron.
Yeah.
Hi.
Ron, hey, how's it going?
Great. Thanks for these sessions. These are fantastic. I'm finding out how much I don't know, so. But the question right now, based on today's topic is, so I've got my list, however I get that. So what I'm confused about is you're saying don't use high level for sending out high volumes of emails. So, and then Joel said before about using Gmail to send out like small batches at a time. So how do you send out larger batches, 100, 500, 1,000 emails on a daily basis? What do you use for that?
With a team. That's
with
where
those small numbers, like through a Gmail account, 10, 15 at a time, that kind of a thing?
Yeah, with my brand new agency I started about a month ago in Toronto, we have 3 VAs logging into 60 emails each every 30 minutes, sending out 10 emails per account. It's manual labor.
I see. Okay, so
right
that's what I was confused about. It there is no good automated way to do that.
No, even if you find one, it doesn't matter. It's gonna die out in a month as soon as Google catches that. So that's what happens to LinkedIn. How saturated is LinkedIn? LinkedIn is useless, right? It's unless you got something special, all those extensions are all useless, right? So the point is, in the beginning, to get to 10K, you still have to have this manual interaction from you as the CEO, the business owner. But at a certain level, you need to buy back your time by bringing in a cold VA that knows that strategy. They're logging in every single day. We're setting up their screenshot monitors. They're filling out their KPIs. At the end of the day, my business today has about 1,200 outbound messages going out per day. I don't even care if it's cold email or voice drops or anything else. I just need that kind of volume, right, per day for me to count for 2 to 3 leads a day. 2 to 3, that's it. Even with that volume, right? Even with a good offer, that's it. And then guess what happens? I've got some serious players that are closers that are pounding these leads, right? With the strong offer behind them, with the fulfillment team behind them. Therefore, now I've taken myself out of the picture, put people in place, and you can really do this with one VA for all outbound, right? Because you should run paid ads at the same time. Remember, right? So if you have about 3-4 channels set up, I have about 4 channels right now that I set up within 1 month for this new agency, right? Cold email, cold calling, right? We're just going to get volume in, paid ads, cranking really nicely. I've got Instagram DMs going as well, 4 channels, right? So it's just a mass laborious process, but it's a safe process. There's legs there because I can scale that. I don't have to worry about a gimmick extension that I'm dependent on Chrome to just scrape LinkedIn, and I'm hoping my business sales department on that. No way. right? So hopefully that
Yeah.
helps, Ron.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else?
Oh.
If you want to raise your hand, or Peter, were you? I thought you were saying bye, man, my friend. Did you have a question? Because I know you're
Yes,
across the
yes.
pond and it's getting late. So I thought you were saying bye.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, but the problem is I got so excited with Ron, so because that was one of the portions, so I actually forgot. I'll come back with it again.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Who was the other person that we had just? Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead, Brandon.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up?
I think I posted this in the group a little bit earlier, but I'm having trouble, not necessarily with my offer, but the offers I'm making on behalf of my clients. I work in the autism services niche, so really trying to figure out what this sort of like medical sort of tent to it. Like, how do I make an offer that's effective for them, other than, hey, we would like to see you in our clinic sometime.
Yeah, when you say when you say autism, are you working with like therapy clinics? Are you working?
Yeah,
with
so like
individual?
ABA therapy centers.
Okay, so like they have occupational therapists and like
No,
nursing, or what?
So it's probably ABA. So it's behavior analysis.
Okay.
So basically, it's a therapy specifically for kids with autism.
Correct. So in that scenario, that particular industry, I know for a fact, has regulations on whether you can run offers because they are
For sure.
insurance driven, Medicaid driven, Medicare driven. So you don't have a lot of options there. That's just the matter of fact, right? But what you do have is ability to attract people, right? So Google is going to be your friend, SEO is going to be your super friend, right? But that doesn't mean you can't still craft up an offer. It doesn't have to be, so a lot of us think an offer is like a number. It's not. It's an idea, right?
Right.
We will run education based offers. Hey, we'll set up a free consultation just because you're saying hello to us, right? We'll invite you over to our education webinar. The amount of I remember the amount of I don't know if you guys, any of you that's been doing this for at least a couple of years, you may remember Dinner with the Doc campaign that almost every agency on the planet was running for like 6 months. It was like a trend. It was like almost like a fad, right? Everybody was running dinner with docs and seminars for chiros and all these holistic doctors. After a while, that all died down. So offer by itself is not going to work. And in certain industries, you have to go with education-based offers. You cannot say, hey,
Sure.
because your child has autistic symptoms, we can come in for a consultation. That's not going to put your client in a good place, right? So certain, it doesn't apply to everybody, man. That's an edge case.
Yeah, for sure. No, I get it, because like in some locations, like I just turn on the ad and they have like 30 people immediately, and then other places a little more competitive, and it's sort of like, all right, well, why did we only get 3? So yeah, just trying to figure that out. But
yeah, typically it's because of population density or socioeconomic class, right? If you go to like north of like Richmond, Virginia, or like Fairfax, forget it. It's hard to get leads over there. Right? Same thing with like middle of Manhattan and LA, London, like these very populated places, it's hard. And you do the opposite. If you go to rural, middle of Texas, nowhere with tumbleweed, you're going to have some hard time too, because that audience is going to burn out. At the end of the day, most of the audience sizes that I like personally when I run ads is around 150 to 250K. That's a good size for me to make a month happen, right? But yeah. Let's see. Anybody else with the question? Let's see. If you want to unmute yourself, let's have at it. I'll stay on for a few more minutes. Hey man, how's it going?
Awesome. I just have a quick question on the Gmail campaigns. It was just in terms of scaling, like what's a safe rate to bump those up? Like per day or per week or however.
Define scaling. What do you mean by scaling? Are you talking about daily volume that's going outbound, or you mean your team?
Daily volume.
Yeah. So longevity, I don't recommend you. So I'm assuming you're going after the local brick and mortar businesses.
Yeah, I'm working with real estate brokers. And
Oh yeah.
I'm only doing maybe 50 emails a day, and I've been doing that for weeks. And I feel like, yeah, obviously that's got to go up.
Yeah, you want to be around 1,500 to 2,000 in that
Right.
industry,
I
right?
heard you saying that.
Yeah. So
So what rate
the
do I
way
do it? Yeah.
so
killing money.
when you sign up for a Gmail account, right? It's
Yeah.
too new. You can't even use it.
Right. Yeah.
You can't even send more than maybe 15, in my opinion, right? So how do we actually prime the accounts? We subscribe into so many things, right? That's why we were having the J. Crew conversation, because my VA was subscribing into J. Crew everywhere for fun. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But it was just like piles and piles of emails from these retailers. So after about 2 to 3 weeks, what happens is these accounts will get less sensitive, right? At that point, you have to have 50 to 60, in your case, maybe 100 accounts that a VA will log in per day, send out 10 per account a day, right? That's how you have to do it, because you cannot
For how
send.
long do they keep it at that like 10 rate?
What did you say?
For how long do they keep it at that rate of 10
For
before
life.
they would bump it up?
For life. The only way you scale is with more accounts.
Okay, so you wouldn't want to bump like an individual G Suite account up to, and I say
Nope.
G Suite, not Gmail, G Suite.
Correct. I don't want to take a chance. I'm
Still
keeping
don't
my
bump it up?
IP. I'm
Okay.
keeping my IP. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So the way you scale is with more accounts. The way I scale is another VA comes in, learns from the previous VA. The new person has 70 accounts.
Yeah.
Right. Then like I know agencies with over 30 plus cold emailers.
Oh, I'm sure.
Pumping these things, right? And they're all using their own stuff. So there's no sensitivity. So that's the way you scale. You actually scale horizontally, not vertically.
Just go ahead and add more VAs and have them use their accounts. Okay.
Not their accounts, new accounts they created on behalf of your agency.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like all mine is like Paulson Thomas 1 all the way to 1,000
Okay.
at gmail.com. You know, so because you want to make them look personal. If it says Alexander Capital Enterprises, I'm going to feel like that's a random fund reaching out to get my retirement, business. That's literally what I would feel. So
actually, it's funny you say that, because that's the email I've been using and it hasn't had a problem, but it's aged like 6 years.
Yeah, well, you don't want to use your own personal accounts, but what I would recommend is getting when I look at an email, it needs to look personal, right? It needs to look like a personal email. If it says Paulson at gohighlevel.com, it just gives away that I'm selling something right out of the gate.
Alexander Capital Equity works for me, I think, because it's not actually my marketing entity. And it kind of fits as far as real estate goes. They probably think I'm a lender or something, but yeah,
what I'm saying is use an account that does not attach to a domain.
Got it. Yeah.
It needs to say Gmail. It needs to say Outlook. It needs to say yahoo.com, because that's like a personal thing versus, it looks corporatized. That's what
instead of it being corporate. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the basic answer is go out a whole bunch of emails.
Have your VAs go out and do a whole bunch of emails. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Is it Haria Kiran? Hi there, Miss Kiran. It's like Jeopardy. Hi, you there? You want to unmute yourself if you don't mind, and we can take your question. Okay, let's go to Action Jackson, and then we'll end with Mylan. Miss Jackson.
Hello, how are you doing?
Pretty good.
This is me practicing again. I'm not gonna stop if you let me do it. So I didn't get a chance to write it out, but I'm just gonna say it, I guess. And just let me know. I'm trying to get closer because we're actually trying to start writing these ads. So I put one of our target audiences is nonprofits. So I put We love businesses that love our community. 14-day free trial because nonprofits are businesses too. Let's work together to get your business back to business. You still have work to do.
Is that in what context? Is that a
So
copy? Is that a copy that you're writing to give out an offer or something?
yes, like for
It's too
context
broad.
of
It's
too broad.
way too broad.
That is always my problem. Okay.
Way too
So
broad. Yeah. Yeah. If I so a lot of us, when we write copy, you have to
mm,
follow a certain anatomy in a copy. The top is the hook. It's a disruptive hook, typically,
okay.
that works, right?
Mm,
Then it's the solution that's different than anybody else's. Then it's the call to action. That's the framework of a normal copyright. Like, it doesn't matter whether it's ads. Like, how many of you guys enjoy some of the posts that I make in the Facebook group? And the first line is just like, oh man, how do I not read this? And you get stuck going through the high level like Facebook group just because of one of those. It's the same philosophy, guys. The top line has to be a hook. Second section is the solution you bring to the table. The third
mm,
section is the call to action you want that person to actually take. So in your scenario, Miss Jackson, what I
mm,
understand is you're doing marketing for nonprofit,
mm.
right? Am I
Yes.
am I right? Okay. If that's the
Yes.
case, my lingo will, I don't know if it's perfect, but it would go along the side of, we will provide marketing for nonprofit organizations without any stress, right? Or create some sort of a disruptive line in the beginning that clearly, concisely tells the audience what you do,
Okay.
right? Hey, are you a nonprofit professional that's looking to make a difference and particularly looking for marketing services, right? Imagine who actually opts in. That's going to be somebody that's vetted, right? You don't want
Gotcha.
your gates to be too open running ads. You want to be very specific. Hey, if you're a nonprofit organization, I can get you 15 new donors by the end of the 20th day of this month,
Gotcha.
right? That's going to get me far versus this broad message, just so you know.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm still
Uh,
gonna be working on it. You'll hear from me again. Thank you.
Okay, and it also depends on the platform that you're running this in, right? If you're running that on Facebook versus Instagram versus Snapchat, this is for LinkedIn. That's four different audiences and different behaviors of audiences, right? If you ran that on Amazon, what would happen? They wouldn't know which product page to go to,
Yeah.
would
Yeah,
they?
we're a content creation company and we got like we pivoted this year because of COVID. And so we kind of got forced into almost because our clients needed where do we put our content? You're making it. So we got forced into it. And so I'm trying to get the messaging right. I'm not a marketer. And so I'm going to just keep practicing. And I really appreciate the daily Q&As, the 10K in 10 days, all that stuff. Thanks.
Okay, awesome. Um, Miss Kieran, I think you're back. Let's go with your
Yes,
question.
I do. I don't know. I was going to ask you a question and then I was not able to hear you. So, anyways, I just want to ask you when we're talking about G Suite and these emails, when we have like say 100 emails account and then there's 15 emails are being sent every day and maybe we have 5, 10 VAs who are doing it. So, how you are having an overview at one place that how many replies and communications are going on when then there are so many accounts?
Yeah, all the VAs have their own managers that they have to report to, and that manager is responsible to reporting to me.
Okay, so whatever
Right.
conversation is going on in which people are active and like ready to move on to next stages, then you move them to your like go high level and stuff.
Yeah, so whenever they get a respond, that lead is manually added to my pipeline within the notes that says, here's the interaction we had on email. So that way,
Okay.
when my cold, killer salesman goes out there, they have a context to what happened in that conversation from the VA, right? So I have 2 cold emailers right now. One of them is in charge because I want to go ahead and create this hierarchy on leadership anyway, right? Early on, right? But one of them is in charge, so reporting to me what happens every single day. If I check out my Slack channel, there's a channel that says end of day. Everybody on the team tells me what do they do at that end of that day. Every single person on the team. Hey, I had 20 cold calls today, responded to 3. My emailers will say, hey, I sent out 500 today. I got 3 responses, right? My closers will tell me, hey, I sent out 4 proposals. I couldn't close anybody today. Doesn't matter. I just need to know the pulse, right? So they manually report it to me on our Slack channel because I'm not an Excel guy. If I look at Excel, I start getting confused. Like I don't like technology that much, right? So Slack channel, I like. Like, you know what? Just tell me what you're doing that day. Fair enough. And I don't even monitor my VAs. I trust them enough because my interview process is solid enough. I don't even have to monitor them. They tell me what they do, their hours and all of that. And hey, didn't seem like you did a lot today. Why don't you just take a couple of days off? I don't want you to burn out. Come back whenever you're ready. Like I don't force labor on people just because that's what they signed up for. They need to motivate themselves, right? So all this reporting stuff is nice, but there's a cultural balance that has to be there on reporting, right? So it's like
Yeah.
I have to trust that regardless without reports, but hopefully that helps.
Yeah.
Any follow-up to that?
No, well, I have just one person working for me at this point, so I'm just looking into different options because it seems too much work to have an agency. So I'm feeling like there are different ways that we can do it, and then people are doing on our behalf. But like the
It's too
cultural
much
thing is
work.
very good. Yeah.
It's too much work for one person who's not delegating without a system.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of one-man shows that are scaling to 100K a month somehow. It's with other people involved and systems and all these tricks of the trade. So here's the thing, you're not going to scale everything today or tomorrow, right? Every single day of the month, achieve one thing. End of that month, you achieve 30 things.
Yeah. Great. Yep.
You know,
I'm
that's
on
it.
it.
That's a big Kobe Bryant thing. You know, he breaks up every single piece of his craft into pieces, so he just focuses on one thing that day, right? Um, let's see, Mylan. Let's go back to you, buddy. If anybody else has a question, I'm gonna do a hard cutoff at 4, just so you know. It's 3:43 on my side, just so you guys know. So we'll stay on for a little bit longer, just because I see all these questions that are coming in. But go ahead, Mylan.
So when sending out these like emails, do you just like how customizable do you make it? Like, do you at least put the name of the person that you're trying to reach out? Let's say you're trying to reach out a dentist, right? Do you at least like have their name and name of their business, or is it going to be like really super generic?
It's the disruption that you have to create, right? So like here's what I recommend when it comes to the messaging of it. And I think Joel's going to go through the details of this, so I don't want to go too far ahead. But if I'm going into the medical industry, here's what I'm going to say. My subject line is going to say patient confirmed. Oh my God, that they cannot not open that. That's a patient, right? If I'm going after real estate, closing date fixed. I'm going to go to the point of where their result is coming from, right?
Yeah.
What do they really want? And that's where I'm going to operate backwards to get there, right? So another industry, somebody throw another one, right? I'll keep going on subject lines all day. I was telling Joel I want to have a objection handling battle with him one of these days because we're both pretty good at sales. But what was that? Who is that? Somebody else gave me industry. Put it in the chat. I can't hear you.
That's a myth.
Auto repair, right?
Yeah.
Auto repair. Let's say 2019 Chevy ready to go. Right? It would go into the framework of what their normal day is like, right? If I see that, I need to feel like it's notification for revenue. Oh crap, right? If nothing It should say invoice confirmed, right? If not, like, so this is the power. Oh, Travis, here's a point. This is the power of niching down. You start naturally dreaming about these things. I remember going to dinner with my wife and having our friends there and people asking me, "Hey, what do you do?" "Oh, I'm a dental professional." What the heck? Since when did I become a dental professional? Right? But I was in dentistry doing agency stuff for 2 years and I turned into one of them in my mind, right? And that's the power of niching down, right? Today I got an email from one of the dental podcasters. I did a episode like a year ago, and he messaged me today, "Hey, your episode is out." I'm like, dude, I can't even remember dentistry anymore in my head. Like I can't even post it, right? But I appreciated that email because I realized how deep I went, right? How deep did I go? And that matters on scaling, right? You become the expert. So your cold email and all of that, all your messaging has to be, the subject line has to relate to that industry so hard to their results, right? They have to open that. And your message is going to be direct. Like if your message, if your cold email, I don't want to ruin this for Joel. I don't know what he has planned for tomorrow. Me personally, on my outbound emails of any kind, if my lines are more than three, that's too long. That's it. I want it to be simple. I want it to say, "Hey, can y'all take on more referrals? I saw some good reviews. Hey, I'm looking for a referral partner in Louisville," right? Right? That it needs to remember this is a personal looking email. That message has to look personal as well. You cannot do an advertisement. You cannot, right? It has to feel like, "Oh crap, I was in the middle of the traffic light signal and I just drove by this place and I'm just going to message them real quick with my own personal email." That's what it should feel like, right? Um, let's see. Um, Anybody else with the question? Oh, any follow up to that, Mylan?
No, I mean, like, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense because, like, one thing that was taking a lot of time for me, like when I was reaching out, like, like a month ago, I was following up with dentist, was trying to collect the name of the dentist when I scraped the lead from D7, and then also input their name of their business, so that, like, just to create that list, it was so much manual work. Like, it makes sense that it will be generic, because it's a cold email anyway. I think
Yeah.
that's gonna save me a lot of time and headache for sure.
Yeah, I just have my VAs connect with the scraper themselves. That's one less meeting item to deal with.
Yeah.
That leader on that team they have the connections. Like, hey, this is who you reach out to. They have logins to the softwares as well. It's out of my hands. I just need my channel that says end of day. It better have some numbers. That's what I know.
Okay.
That's all I care about. Because I'm doing payroll for everybody, right? I need to see some numbers there. That's all. Right? Nicely, respectfully, right? It's a data, it's a volume game, it's a numbers game. Anybody else have any questions? If not, I'll jump off.
So I have a question. This is Jimmy.
Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, first of all, thanks for putting on this conference. I think we're all getting a ton of good information. So really appreciate that. My question is around kind of similarly, like around the outbound email stuff. So would you, just on a technical basis, like would you just set up 60 accounts, 60 Gmail accounts, and then like tie them into high level to then manage those inbound leads? Not you, but your VA. Just trying to think about how to most efficiently manage those inbound replies from potential leads. Would you tie those accounts through SMTP to, no? Okay. You just let them handle it on their own.
Okay. Yep. They're taught to manually add leads. I don't want to take any chances on any issues. Right. And remember, even with like these high volumes, there's not a lot of responses coming in. So them adding 1 or 2 leads a day, it's not much, so it's not that strenuous to infuse the accounts with the right leads. It's more strenuous to generate the leads and responses.
Sure. Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. There is a person named Luscious Note 9. I think it's a phone. But if you want to,
Hello?
yeah. Hey,
Hey, how you doing? Thank you
good.
for everything y'all doing. I have a question because I I thought about the niche I went through, which made a lot of sense because I find myself jumping around a lot, trying to find the perfect niche. And my skill set is more into the music and industry, entertainment industry. And I kind of position myself without even knowing with COVID to to really target artists and musicians that's really getting hit right now. And I was wondering, how would I go about scraping that list? Should I go after the record labels or individual artists or IG? Because I have ads already. Like I did some ads because I do video production too. So I did some video ads in advance, and everyone loved it. So I'm just trying to figure out where should I know IG probably be the place to hit.
Yeah. There's actually a few record labels that actually use high level, some big ones too. But I don't know. I don't know much about that industry, to be honest with you. I do know it's a very small industry, though.
Right,
It's not a big group of people that are actively being artists. There's a lot of registered artists, like
right,
realtors. Not a
exactly.
lot of them are active. So, maybe cold email is not the option. You go with other channels. Get LinkedIn going,
Okay,
Instagram DMs going, get influencers going. At the end of the day, have
right,
several channels running. That's the point. Maybe
okay.
cold doesn't work. Cold email doesn't work. How many artists sit around and manage emails? I don't know. Not that many, I would
Sure.
guess. Right. So you got to pivot and figure out what works in your industry, no matter what happens. Um, let's see. We'll take a couple of more questions. I'm gonna do a hard close
Thank you.
at 4 p.m. We're about 7 minutes or 8 minutes away. Yeah, no problem. Anybody else with any questions regarding anything we talked about? Right. Anything we talked about up from day 1, 2, 3, and today 4. And hopefully this was really helpful. I know the call is going long, but hopefully this was helpful for some of you. All right, guys, you guys all and ladies have a good rest of your afternoon. I'm going to take it that there's no other questions, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a good one.